The ANC will celebrate its 107th anniversary with President Cyril Ramaphosa leading a wreath-laying ceremony at the grave of the party's founding President John Langalibalele Dube at Ohlange Institute in Inanda township outside Durban later this morning. This is part of a build-up to the main celebrations scheduled for Saturday at the Moses Mabhida Stadium. The ANC will use the event to launch its 2019 election manifesto. For more on the story, we now cross live to our ANCHOR Sakina Kamuwendo. Sakina, you're in Ohlange and you've spoken to several people this morning. What's the mood like there?
And welcome back to Inanda, and this is of course where later on President Cyril Ramaphosa is expected to come and not only lay a wreath at the graveside of the first president of the African National Congress, that's Dr. John Langalibalele Dube, but obviously there will be a rally as well later on today, and the president expected here at around 10:20 this morning. So the agenda will be here to bring that to you live, but we still here at the Dr. J.L. Dube Stadium in Inanda, and if you just take a look around, it's starting to build up. The activity here was very interesting earlier on because just behind us here at the stadium there is of course a part of the township, and people were actually screaming to us that, oh, we just show you on TV. So a festive atmosphere here, and people are expected to flock here to the stadium. And just looking around, it is all systems go. Can see all the emergency services staff and also some hawkers setting up because they are expecting people and members of the African National Congress in particular to actually descend on this place later on. So when the president finishes off at the Methodist Church where he is right now, he will be making his way here. And on our drive, as Mr. Langa Dube was describing earlier on Morning Live, you can actually see the attempt to actually trace the history and make those connections with some of the greats who have come from this area, the likes of Dr. Prophet Isaiah Shembe, who, as Langa Dube was describing, had actually started his movement, his church movement right here in the very same Inanda. Also those links to Dr. Mahatma Gandhi, I should say, tripping all over it there. But of course he also has links to this particular area and the Dube family, of course. And the president will also go there to the Ohlange Institute, which is literally a stone's throw to my left from where we are right now. And that institute, of course, houses the first educational institution that was established by a black South African, and that black South African, of course, Dr. J.L. Dube. And he came about this through these links with the Americans, and his father, that would be Mr. James Dube. He, of course, was an ordained minister, and those links had already been established, and so became the need to actually establish an institution, an educational institution for black South Africans. And this is what the Ohlange Institute is about. Also had the first private boarding facility for girls established here, and all of those places are still, as I say, just a stone's throw from here. It is being preserved. There is a museum here, and this entire area is essentially a heritage precinct. So quite a lot to see. People were also explaining to me earlier about Inanda and how Inanda was this dark spot, a dark spot because other areas around Inanda had been developed, and you found still at the time that Inanda didn't have electricity. So when you were looking at Durban and the areas around it, this area remained dark because there was resistance to actually developing it because of the sort of minds, the sort of thinking, the sort of people and leaders that were being produced in this area. There was almost a kind of resistance to actually help this situation any further. And there's so much to talk about, and like most of South Africa, Inanda obviously faces its own social ills, pretty much like the rest of the country, but there are efforts afoot to actually arrest those, and hopefully with the help of government and private organizations that will be done. So this is where we are at. This is where later on today, obviously, the the January 8th celebrations for today, the actual day of the anniversary, will culminate. President Cyril Ramaphosa will be here, so we will be waiting here as SABC, and of course the other leaders of the SABC, of the ANC, will also be out in full force in the province. We know the Deputy President is in Newcastle this morning. We know the Secretary General, he will be out in the Moses Mabhida region, and we'll try to follow as many of these leaders as they go around the province of KwaZulu-Natal in celebration of the 107th anniversary of the African National Congress. So this is the scene. This is where it will all be taking place later on. And with that, I send you back to the studio.
Sakina Kamuwendo there in Ohlange. Of course, that wreath-laying ceremony will take place sometime around 10:20, and the agenda will cover it live for you.